Peter, are you there?
Yeah, Can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha, loud and clear. Awesome. Thanks for being on. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
You're
Are we
welcome.
live? Are we on right now?
We're live. Yep, we're rolling.
Okay. Hey,
Live
buddy.
yeah, we're live. We're rolling, and we
Cool.
are we're Facebook living also.
Well,
Yeah. So, Peter, you we had a ton of requests for you to come back on and share. I was really grateful that you gave us the time. So, thanks for doing that.
fun. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Can
today,
you see past the glare on my head here? Is that okay?
you look different than you did last time, right?
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still getting used to that. So is my wife.
Quarantine
Probably
time.
should have consulted with her first before I did that, but it's okay.
Okay, and guys, actually, we were having technical difficulty with the streaming it to the Ohio Valley region page. So right now I have it on my personal page on Facebook. You can go there, and it's on Blair's page also, and she just typed it into the chat. Okay, Peter, take it away.
Yeah, sure. So you asked to talk about control, right?
Yep.
So I was thinking about what is control, and we have 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
So, okay. The loss of control, what we're really talking about is fear, right? Because I think the reason why we're all afraid right now, or why some of us may be feeling fear, is because of our loss of control, or the potential loss of control. And the loss of control really is talking about, it's not necessarily the loss of control, it's the loss of income potential from that loss of control, right? And the reason why is because the rules changed. We were in control. Like, we were all set up to have our best year ever. Our sales team did 123 sales in 3 months. We were ready to rock and roll. We were finally going to break 500. Wow. And that all got pulled out from underneath us, right? And so the rules have changed, and they've changed in a way that they've never changed before for real estate agents. And that can be scary because when the rules change, you lose your control in the process. So I think what we need to talk about, which I thought was very insightful on your part, is talk about, well, how do we gain control, or what can we control? Because if you feel like you're out of control and you do nothing, that's not going to feel very good, and it's not going to get better, and that's a downward spiral of misery. So one of the gifts of being human is that we don't necessarily always control our circumstances, but we all are fully capable of controlling our response to the circumstances that we're put in. And so the first point of control is really a binary one, and that is, do I choose to have a conscious response to the stimulus around me, or am I going to have an unconscious, instinctive response? And when you stay in instinct, which is our natural reaction to preserve our species, that's when you're going to get buried. And that's when fear takes over. And when fear takes over, you get caught like a deer in the headlights, and you're not going to get into action. And then you really are going to be in a place of financial loss. But we have the ability to think consciously and choose our thoughts and choose our response. And so I think really the most important takeaway from all of this is, what response am I choosing based on the stimuli that I'm receiving right now? Because all of us are receiving the exact same stimuli. The question is, how do I choose to respond to that? Yep. So that's the first choice. Every single moment of every single day, that's our first choice. Whether we're in the biggest boom market ever, or the biggest bust market ever, we all have a choice of how we respond. So now let's talk about what we can control. I think relative to this pandemic and well, let's just leave it at that. Relative to this pandemic, I think there's 4 things that, can you guys see me okay? Is my feed okay?
Yeah, you're perfect. Yep.
So I think there's 4 things that we can control right now. The first thing that we need to learn how to control very quickly is our mindset. The second one that we need to quickly control is the activities that we're doing with the time that we have allocated. The third one is we need to take control of the narrative, which I'll talk about. And the fourth one is we need to figure out how we take better control of our energy.
Okay, mindset, activities, narrative, and energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my take on it.
Yep.
So let's talk with the most important one first, right? Which is mindset, because mindset is the filter through which all of our human experience is processed. And if our mindset stinks, we're hosed. So the first part of having good mindset is to stop running from and embrace and accept reality. And we have to define reality, because until we define what reality looks like, we can't choose the right response. And here's the reality. It's not the same. We don't know it. It isn't going to be your best year ever. Get over it. Have your pity party, limit it to 2 hours, have a glass of wine, go cry the blues to your parents or your best friend, and then wake up and get back to work. And that's what it means. It's pro time. Look, it's easy to sell a house and be a rock star listing agent when there's never been a lower amount of inventory, right? We have the most acute lack of inventory this country's ever seen and Cincinnati has ever seen since data has been tracked. So you're not going to have that anymore. It's over. Cry the blues some other time. Right now, if you don't do something different, you're in trouble, real trouble.
Can we pause there for 1 second? Because you talked about this a little bit and I'd like for you to touch on this. Because, and maybe if it would flow better later, that's fine. But the difference between people who've already been through a professional recession versus the people who haven't.
Yeah.
And I think the people who haven't are seeing the people who have, who are acting and responding to what you just said. It's pro time. Like we cried the blues for a minute and now we're on it.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about that, the difference between the two mindsets?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dana. Thank you for pointing that out. So, well, let's look at, so the only experience I can speak to is my own. Prior to the Great Recession in 2007, 2008, I was selling about 2 homes a month. I was about 24 months a year, and that was pretty good, right? That's a top producer. Coming out of the Great Recession, we were the top sales team in the city, doing about 150 to 170 transactions a year. Now, that was over a 4 or 5 year period, right? I started by crying the blues. And the Great Recession was brutal, right? And it was a daily battle for me to wake up and choose the activities that would put me in a better place than where I started. And I was lucky to have a great coach with me at the time who was very supportive and really helped me work through my own pity party and my own story that I was telling myself about how much I was suffering and all that crap.
Was that when Tony was your coach?
That was when Tony was my coach, yeah. And so, you know, occasionally he'd let me cry and whine for about 5 minutes, and then he'd punch me in the face, right? and at the end of the call, I would thank him. And then off I went, you know, and it was pro time. And so I went from lead generating about 10 minutes a day to 3 hours a day. And then I door knocked every weekend. And that was my routine for 4 years straight. And it sucked, right? Let's call it for what it is. Lead gen is not a normal activity. It's not a normal behavior. And yet it's what defines greatness in this business, any sales business. So if you want to sell houses and make money, you are going to have to do something different than what you did prior to March 13th. That's reality. So the sooner you accept that reality, the sooner you can get into activity and start doing something about that. So I don't know if you know this, my major in college was Mandarin Chinese. And so I used to live in Taiwan. Anyway, there's many cool things about Chinese culture and language. One of them is the character for crisis is Wei Ji. And Wei Ji means danger and opportunity.
That's what Debbie Frapp just shared.
Ah, man, she beat me to it.
She didn't say the exact word that you said, though. Yeah, okay, but keep going. That's good.
But it's true. The opportunity is here. And the opportunity is not doing what you've been doing this time before. The opportunity is by doing and thinking differently than you have up until this point. So what are the opportunities right now? There are so many. Number one is, at the end of 90 days, absolutely none of us should have any holes in our database, right? We should be seeing 100% call to contact ratio with our databases right now, because the news is, guys, they're sitting around binge watching on Netflix and dying to talk to a human being. So we should be 100% contact ratio with our database, and there should be no holes. Every single record and command right now should have phone number, email address, snail mail address, and probably their birthday and home anniversary as well. That is a huge opportunity to have a really clean, high quality, high functioning database that we can put on marketing programs later on. What's another opportunity? Investors. If you're playing for pro, if you're going to be a pro player, while you're calling your database, you're going to identify who in your sphere of influence is interested in growing their wealth through real estate. And you're going to ask them while they're taking your phone call, and ask them if they're interested in building wealth when the real estate market shifts over the next 3 to 6 months, because it's going to. And when it does, the people that have raised their hands are the ones you're going to stay close to, and you're going to start engaging them to help them build wealth and earn your own commissions in the process. What's another opportunity? There are going to be a lot less real estate agents when this is over. In Cincinnati during the Great Recession, we had 6,000 real estate agents. By the time it was over, we had a little over 4,000. 1/3 of our industry went away. That was great. The other thing is there's a lot of real estate agents right now that are going to stick their heads in the sand and say, I'm going to wait 3 months for this to blow over. Well, it's not going to blow over. This is going to take a lot more than 3 months to cure. And so while those people are sticking their head in the sand, you may as well show up and do the things that you need to do, because there are people transacting right now, which we'll get to in a second. The next one is that you're going to have a way better dial to contact ratio when you're on the phone doing your lead gen, because everybody's taking phone calls right now. Our contact ratio, our dial to contact ratio with our internet leads and with our sphere and with expireds and for sale by owners has never been better. We've never had more efficient prospecting time, lead generation time. And the last one is we're going to have to work harder to make more money. Get over it. This is every single industry goes through its cycles. We're not special. Everyone's doing it. We actually are very special in that I was convinced that we would all be totally out of business right now. The fact that we're permitted to work,
we're essential.
Something we should be grateful for every single day. And the market's still going. There's two narratives going on. There's the one that the media is telling us, which I'll get to in a second, and there's the one that's actually going on with those of us who've chosen to continue to work since March 13th. And I've got some numbers to share that are really eye-opening on that. And finally, in terms of opportunity, they say that growth happens right outside of your comfort zone. Congratulations, your comfort zone has just been ripped off. Yeah. There is no comfort zone. So now it's time to grow. That is another gift of this industry, and growth can happen different ways. It can be your mindset. It can be the habits that you choose to adopt. It can be growing your database. It can be learning new skills. Gene Rivers nailed it yesterday. He was absolutely right when he said, there's going to be two kinds of clients when this is all over. Those that want to do it traditionally with service and a lot of touch and a lot of face-to-face, and those that want to do it digitally and be more efficient. If we don't choose to learn the skills of a digital service model right now, we're going to lose out. The opportunity in that is that most people aren't thinking this way. Most people are sticking their heads in the sand and saying, I can't wait for 90 days from now where I can go back to being a traditional real estate agent. And they're going to get killed when this thing is over and they haven't adopted to a digital marketing and service platform.
Yeah, right? Well, Peter, I'm hearing some agents, a lot of agents actually say that they're taking a break because they feel like that's the safe thing to do for their clients and for themselves personally. What are your thoughts?
Safe for their health.
Yeah, so like they don't want to get sick.
Yeah, I think that's pretty valid. I don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
And yet, people are selling houses and buying houses virtually. I love Gene's expression. If you can find a spouse online, you can find a house online.
Yeah.
And the proof's in the pudding, right? We sold 2 of the listings that we sold last week. We sold, I think, 9 listings last week. 2 of them were purchased sight unseen.
Wow.
This is a new reality, right? One of the contingencies is they actually have to go through the house and confirm that they like it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's happening. And it's going to happen more and more as realtors start to tell the story of what's possible with digital tools. Right now, there is no story being told, and that's our fault. We have to control our narrative, and that's one of the things I'm hoping we get to in terms of what we can talk about. Right now, yeah, okay. You want to go there to the narrative real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I think it matters, just because we're on this topic. The media's job is to sell advertising. And the media's job is to have you come back and watch for more doom and gloom, because doom and gloom sells. And yes, people are getting sick, and it's not funny, and people are dying, and that's real. It happens to be about 1.5% of all the people that contract it. We would be led to believe that it's about 90% of the people that contract this virus. I was on Forbes.com, and they were saying that inventory in America since the second half of March has dropped 34%. Okay, that may be the case. And if that's the case, because that's probably fact, right? Forbes, pretty responsible source. If that's what's happening right now, then we have 2 choices when we respond to stimulus. One is we can say, oh my gosh, the market's down 1/3. I better stick my head in the sand and watch Netflix and wait for this to end in 90 days. The other choice is you can say, I don't choose to be a victim or part of that statistic. I'm going to go take listings. And as our market center, Dana, and I wanted to use numbers to illustrate this point. So I ran some numbers before we did this to make sure that I wasn't full of it.
Yep.
And here's what we found out. And I'm going to check my notes here. From March 1st to March 13th, our market center took 26 listings. When this hit, we decided that we were going to be really intentional about listings. And from March 14th to March 31st, we took 47 listings. That's about 100, almost 200% more listings taken after the federal emergency was announced.
Wow. Okay.
So just because, now, have we done a good job telling that narrative? No, we need to start telling that story, right? Which is why I'm doing this right now. There is plenty of inventory because while there may be more listings, less listings coming to market, the ones that go to market are more motivated. They're more open to different ways of doing things. And while there's a third less listings, possibly, I don't necessarily believe that for Cincinnati, but while there's a third less listings, there's more than a third of the agents that are sticking their head in the sand right now. So in fact, the opportunity is greater now than it was before the 13th.
Yep, love that. I'm making myself a note right now to find ours.
Yeah, do it. The interesting thing too is people think, what was I reading? I can't remember what I was reading, but they were talking about how home sales are dropping, and yet they really aren't. At the Chabris group, we did 17 sales in the first 13 days of March, and we wound up doing 23 sales in the next 18 days of March. So we're still averaging more than one sale per day. And I just checked our numbers from April 1st to April 8th. We are at, what are we at? We are at, I think, 15 sales. So this narrative that the market isn't going on is a false narrative. And if all you do is listen to the media and read Inman, heaven forbid, because all they want to do is sell advertising and grow their subscription base, you're going to believe that. And now you don't own the narrative. You've given somebody else permission to own your narrative in your mind. And that's where you lose. So one of the things that we can control is our own narrative. If we are not making our phone calls to our database, they're going to believe the media narrative because we're not doing a good enough job communicating with our database. If we're not posting on social media about what our experience is in the trenches, then the media wins once again. You know, it's funny. I struggled with whether or not we should post. I made a post on Facebook 3 or 4 days ago because I was so proud of the team for really changing and like leaning into all of this and taking major action. Sorry, my phone is going. And we sold 15 houses in 7 days. This was after we were all sent home and had to work from home. 15 houses in 7 days. It actually wound up being 16. We had a sale come in late. I was thrilled. And I really debated whether or not I should post it because it's kind of a cocky thing to do, right? But I felt that these agents deserved credit. Our agents, so I posted it, and I mentioned in there that 2 of these home sales were completely virtual. Wow. Well, we got a little bit of hatred on that post, and we got 3 listing appointments.
Wow.
So if you don't contribute to the narrative, somebody else is going to control your narrative for you. And that goes for us individually, and that goes for us as an industry. And we should be sending emails to our database, and those emails should have video because people are watching video right now. We have so much opportunity to contact the people in our spheres and in our worlds and change the narrative around real estate. And when we change the narrative around real estate to the reality that we're all experiencing right now, we're going to grow our businesses. Now, will there be a time where the market contracts? Absolutely. But that's not today. And pro time means taking advantage of the opportunities in the window that we have. And the window we have right now is we can still work. The government's burning money to keep everybody warm. I thought that was a great expression. And people are moving. So let's go. Take advantage of this time. You can cry the blues later, not today. It's go time. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about activities. Can I keep going?
Yeah, this is great. Yes.
Okay.
If you guys have questions, just type them in the chat.
I'm obsessive about numbers and data.
Yeah.
And we were tracking sales, and we track a bunch of metrics, what we call the lead indicators and the lag indicators. And lead indicators, Dana, as you know, are activities that cause things to happen. Right. So a lead activity would be taking the listing. A lag activity would be the listing closes. For us, lead activities is contacts to appointment booked to kept to taken, and then pending to close. Generally speaking, as a team, we have a 4% conversion ratio on contact to appointment. That is to say, for every 25 contacts, we get an appointment. Between the 13th and the 31st, that contact to appointment ratio dropped from 4% to 2.5%. It dropped 40%. Okay, that's reality. We have two choices. We can cry the blues and stick our head in the hole, or we can do something different. And this is where controlling your activities kicked in. So we saw a 40% drop in conversion rate. Great. The good news is all that means we need to do is increase our contacts by 40%. So the standard on our team was 40 contacts per week. And mathematically, everybody wins if you just hit that number most of the time. So we increased it 40%. 40% of 40 is 15. So now the standard on our team is 55 contacts. And I'm happy to report that we're selling now, we're continuing to sell more than one house per day. And in fact, last week, now this is a big week for us, but last week, increasing our contacts and with people kind of realizing this is the new norm and us having some stories to tell around the ability to serve people virtually, we booked 30 new appointments in 1 week. Yeah.
Peter, that's incredible.
Well, tell the gang that. I wish they were here to hear that. Hopefully they are. It is incredible. But the reason it's incredible is because they chose to get into action and start telling their own story versus letting the media control their income, which is madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the activities is figure out whatever your activity is that determines your pipeline, you need to do more of that, right? If your thing is Facebook, you got to figure out how to use Facebook in a way that isn't obnoxious, because this is a pandemic and there are real people that are being impacted in real ways from this. You've got to figure out how to use your tool at a more efficient rate or more of the same thing to generate the same level of leads. Because whatever business we do right now is going to be multiplied when we get back to a balanced market. And that's the secret sauce in all. Not the secret sauce. That's the hack. Yep. The hack in all of this is you work harder to get paid less now. And then when you come out of it, you're a superhero. Oh, did I just lag? I'm sorry. No, when you come out of this, you're a superhero and your business has grown and you have newfound respect from your peers and you have newfound respect from your database and you have confidence and you have skill and you have swagger and you have market share and it's awesome.
And you have mind share because you've taken the mind share.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yep.
A few more thoughts. One of the activities that we're focusing on right now, I talked about this earlier, is finding the investors. We're spending right now to do our care calls with our client database. We're doing that to fill in all the holes that we've been missing, that we've always had something a more burning thing to do. Well, we're replacing all that, we're doing all that now. That will be done in another 10 weeks. It's already pretty good, but it'll be completely done by then. And we're getting all the people in our database to identify who's an investor or who knows someone that wants to be an investor. And we're gonna start doing basically a bi-weekly, one of the guys on our team is doing a bi-weekly Zoom on how to top 5 tips for investing in a recession in real estate.
Yeah, we had to brainstorm about that because actually Josh on my team, our team, my partner, he runs the largest property management company in the state of Kentucky.
Oh, he's going to clean up.
Yeah, and we just talked about that. So literally yesterday he said, I need you to show me how to like up my Zoom game because I'm getting ready to do a bi-weekly investor seminar.
Brilliant. Our team is doing a book club on hold and flip right now so that they know that they're conversational with investors come game time with investors. Investors have been waiting for years, grumping about how there's no deals. Well, congratulations, there's deals. Let's go shopping, right? Finally, with activities, whatever it is, each of us has to define what are the activities we need to do every single day to win the day. When you're in crisis mode, all you need to do, Dana, is choose how you're going to respond to your stimuli and identify what it means to win the day, and then go win the day. Whatever that thing is, do it. And then take a minute to celebrate the win. Because if you don't, there's all this negative information. If you let that stuff hijack your brain, you're hosed. Yep. So set your win for the day, win the day, celebrate the win.
I love that. What's an example of how y'all celebrate the wins, by the way?
Oh, constantly. It's half of it is making fun of each other and the other half is celebrating each other's wins. Yeah. That seems to be kind of the sauce for us. So we have a group text, the team, we have a group text. We celebrate our wins there. We celebrate wins every morning on Tuesday, the producers every morning on Tuesday, we celebrate the wins as a team. We're all really clear on what we need to do. I mean, there's nothing new about this. You just do it virtually now. Instead of a high five, it's just celebrating it virtually.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys will have to shoot your Nerf guns at your monitors.
I know, I got to figure that part out. So,
Okay, so we talked about activities, we talked about narrative. Did you talk about energy?
Yeah, energy. This is really important. Energy in any time of adversity gets consumed quickly. And I think that we have to be really careful because it's easy when we're, at least before we can get out of the house and do something. Energy is sacrosanct. Mindset comes first, energy, probably activity second, and then energy third. For type A's out there, it's really easy to roll out of bed and go straight to your phone and start emailing and texting. And then you might stop for dinner and lunch, and then you're doing it until 9 o'clock, and you're still on your flipping phone right before you go to sleep. And that's great, and it feels productive for a short period of time until it robs you of your sleep and it robs you of your sanity.
That's right.
It's really dangerous when you work at home as a type A to always be on because you think you're being more productive, but in reality, our brains are designed to rest. For those of you that might need a little bit more egging on, it's really easy for your energy to be sucked by binge watching Netflix or watching the death toll on CNN, which I think is just, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's constructive. So it's really easy to get sucked into the CNN death toll monitor for hours at a time. And you can't do that either. So here's what I've been telling the gang. There needs to be a morning ritual before you do anything else. Whatever that ritual is, it gives you the opportunity to ground yourself, calm down, and be ready for the day. And know what your priorities are. Because if you just go straight to your phone when you wake up, your phone hijacks your priorities because there's always something urgent but not important.
Yep.
So take that moment and start your day with a bookend, whatever that ritual is. It could be coffee, it could be meditation, it could be prayer, it could be jogging, whatever it is, journaling, a combination of those things. There's got to be a bookend to set the day up right. When you're sitting there staring at a screen, holed up in your living room or your home office or whatever, it's really important that you get out somewhere around noon. Go outside and have sunlight on your face and get some vitamin D going and walk away from the screens and go for a walk your dog, go for a jog, sit under an umbrella if it's hot out or if it's raining, whatever you need to do. We are creatures that need sunshine and fresh air. And then at the end of your day, I think it's really important. I think this might even be more important is the second bookend. The second bookend is the opportunity for you to dump, to get rid of all of the toxicity of the day, all of the priorities of the day, all the negative energy of the day, probably celebrate your win for the day, and then get into that place where you reboot. And you reboot into evening Dana or evening Peter, right? You've got to get out of daytime Peter and daytime Dana,
Yep.
Celebrate the wins, dump the rest of it, write down what you need to do tomorrow because that's important, and then have your ritual, whether it's meditating, whether it's prayer, whether it's walking the dog, whether it's whatever that is for you. It's the habit that your body has to know that it's time to reboot and start the last part of the day as a human being and not as a realtor.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Man, that's so important, Peter. And it is what is it? What's the saying? Simple, not easy. And you have to really make yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's got to be. The funny thing about right now is the schedule that you kept and the habits that you have will not yield success today. Anytime since March 13th, it's not going to work. And so all of us have to, everyone on our team has rewritten our schedule based on the new reality. And I'm encouraging everyone to build new habits around this new reality. And by the way, the first habit is shower and put on clothes like you're going to see somebody.
And makeup and yes.
Yeah, all those things because you're going to work. You're still on video conferences. And it also is for the last umpteen years that we've been professionals, that was your signal to your body that it's pro time now. I'm getting ready for my day. And if you skip that ritual, which is so hardwired into your head, you're already working on deficit, going uphill, trying to be productive when your body is still in, sweatpants mode.
Yep. I totally agree with that.
One last thought. There is in Quantum Leap and in Six Personal Perspectives, and if there's questions, I'm happy to answer them. There is in the accountability cycle in Six Personal Perspectives and Quantum Leap, the third step of the accountability cycle simply says that you're going to own it. And the expression is 10 two-letter words. And Tony used to say it to me all the time, and it's true. And that expression is very simple. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Yep.
And if there's nothing else, if you just choose how you're going to respond to the stimuli around you, and you resolve to accept the fact that if it is to be, it is up to me, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And it's go time. And it's time to win. And winning is going to be working hard to make less money. That's the win. Celebrate it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you just walked literally right into the question that I wanted you to answer in our last minute. Someone said, define the win you celebrate each day. What would be an example of that?
Appointment booked, buyer agreement signed, listing taken, pending sale. I hit my contact goal. I don't want to hear, thank you, Deborah Stegall. For team leaders, it would be keeping your pipeline up. Or for real estate agents, it would be having, X number of people that are all 10s and ready to rock and roll. Whatever it is, you got to have a metric. It can't be, hugs are important, but it can't be like, I'm going to be a better dad today.
Right.
I'm talking about metrics, something that you can point to and say, I did this and it's moving my business forward so that I can pay my bills and provide for the people that I'm responsible for.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. Man, everybody, Peter, I know you think this is so funny. Everyone gets so much from you. So thank you so much for sharing. Peter is so humble that he thinks this is crazy that we all just want more Peter. But really, it's the truth. We love when you come on and share, and it's been great. So thank you so much. Thank you. How can people find you again? I know you're on Facebook, would you share an email, or how can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. My email is peter@ask, like the question, and then TCG, Tango Charlie Golf, peter@asktcg.com.
Okay, awesome, great. And then yes, everyone, this was recorded and they will be on the Keller Williams Ohio Valley Region YouTube page either tonight or tomorrow, just as soon as we can get them all edited and on there. Everybody, very inspiring. Jenny said, thank you. Awesome. Good. Peter, thank you so much. You're the best. We will.
Well, Dana, thank you for organizing this. You've created an incredible service to all the people that are on this. And if the people that are on here, the fact that they're participating right now demonstrates that they have the ability to be better than what they're doing right now. I think it's cool.
Yep, I agree with that.
All right, guys, thank you so much.